Okay, the cell, this is part of a cell block. This one was 3 sections.
It is the most popular attraction at the Winnipeg Police Museum, a 102-year-old jail cell built in 1911, originally housed at the North End Station. Law enforcement has come a long way since this cell was built and in use, and the museum has bits and pieces of the journey from then until now.
It's the history of Winnipeg. When you think about it, the police are involved in everything, good, bad, or whatever. If it's a parade, the police are there. If it's a fire, the police were there. If it's a riot, the police were there. And of course, if there's murders, the police are there. So the history of the police really is the history of Winnipeg.
The Winnipeg Police Museum is located deep in St. James in the basement of the Police Training Academy. It is home to thousands of artifacts representing the police service since its inception in 1874. Jack Templeman is a retired staff sergeant and one of the men who helps to operate the museum.
And the tires we were able to find and buy in New Zealand.
Here you'll find this 1925 Rio Speedwagon, beautifully restored and fully operational. This vehicle was better known as a paddy wagon. Back in its day, before cruiser cars, when officers made an arrest, they'd call for the wagon to come and get a prisoner. And how did they call for that backup? Well, they used these call boxes, which were located all over the city. Officers walking the beat used these boxes to communicate back to the station. And if there was a situation or an emergency that needed their attention, the call box was also how they found out.
So if they want you, they make the bells ring on all the boxes. So with the nearest box, you go and you answer, what do you want?
Of course, not all of the artifacts are that big, but they are all important. There's antique mugshots and wanted posters for notorious criminals, uniforms and medals, handcuffs dating back to 1899, even pieces of the nooses used to hang criminals before capital punishment was outlawed, and so much more. If a Winnipeg police officer used it, you'll find it here. And of course, there are weapons. Back in the early days of firearms, Winnipeg was famous for a gun that came to be known as the Wobbly Webley, and for good reason.
And to load the gun, you bend it in half and put in the bullets. And on occasion, you would fold it in half and they would come apart and you'd have half over here and half over here. So they weren't very trustworthy, but they were cheap. But now, of course, we've got real good weapons.
The Police Museum is open Monday to Friday from 9 to 4, but if you would like a guided tour so you can get your questions answered and have an opportunity to go inside the cell and check out what it was like, your best bet is to call the number on the bottom of the screen and book ahead. For Shaw TV's Go Winnipeg, I'm Kim Babbage.